Straight ahead on CCX News, something we're seeing and doing a lot more of. We'll look at the expansion of outdoor eating venues in the suburbs. Plus, we catch a ride with Brooklyn Park's 2018 Officer of the Year, what he has done to connect with residents. But first, a search warrant reveals new details in a tragic and deadly gun accident in Plymouth. CCX News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. We begin with several developments in the case of that 7-year-old Plymouth boy who accidentally shot himself after finding a loaded handgun in his home.
According to a search warrant, ammo was found in the diaper bag, the same caliber as the bullet in the handgun that killed the little boy on May 16th. Another development, according to the warrant, is that the mother of Kiara Samuels told police that a friend of hers had visited her home earlier that day and says that friend must have placed the gun somewhere in her house. The police conducted tests on the gun and determined multiple people had handled the weapon. Kiara Samuels was alone when he accidentally shot himself, though he had been playing with other young relatives who were outside at the time. Police say the gun was found inside the box of a new hoverboard. And as we went to air Wednesday evening, no charges had been filed in the case. However, we learned the mother's friend is in police custody for failing to report to a required meeting with his parole officer. Well, our other top story of the day, the major output of this year's legislative session now vetoed.
Governor Mark Dayton followed through on his promise to veto the tax bill and the nearly 1,000-page supplemental budget bill. The governor says the two measures prioritize tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy over the education of children. Meantime, Governor Dayton has not made a decision on the bonding bill, which would provide a boost for a big highway project in Brooklyn Park and in Brooklyn Center. Traffic engineers have planned for years to convert Highway 252 to a freeway from Brooklyn Center all the way to Highway 610. A freeway would eliminate two intersections along the route that are among the 10 most dangerous in the state. Officials are expecting to see about $135 million for the project from the bonding bill, leaving about $28 million to raise from other sources. Work could begin in the next 4 to 5 years. In the meantime, county workshops are scheduled Wednesday, May 30th in Brooklyn Park and Thursday, the 31st in Brooklyn Center to bring residents up to date.
And a Brooklyn Park lawmaker says money for Highway 252 is one of the bright spots for Northwest Metro residents that came out of the legislative session. We're asking local lawmakers about successes and failures of the recent session, and House Minority Leader Melissa Hortman says adding funding to the Corridors of Commerce highway program is a big step for Highway 252.
The Corridors of Commerce funding is a grant program, and there's only so much money, and then there's applications and there's awards, and they're in a hierarchical order. And so in this round of funding that was already let, 252 didn't make it, but in the next round of funding coming up, it's the next project on the list.
On a statewide basis, Hortman says many bills that Minnesotans wanted failed or passed in a watered-down form. She cites a lack of agreement on several issues, including tax conformity, how to raise money to fight the opioid epidemic, nursing home abuse, and distracted driving that involves cell phones. But she says one area of agreement was on school safety funding.
There is some school safety funding in the bonding bill. There's $25 million that schools will be able to access for infrastructure improvements. But there is also school safety funding in this 990-page bill. And the school safety funding in that bill that we all agreed would be great for schools to have would allow them to hire more counselors, to do trainings for active shooter situations, and really to use that money for a lot of different flexible purposes.
But as we mentioned, that 990-page bill was vetoed today by the governor. On Thursday, we will take a look at the session with Republican Representative Dennis Smith of Maple Grove.
In other news, is there a possibility to redevelop a highly visible corner of Plymouth?
The southwest corner of land near the intersection of Highway 55 and Interstate 494 has caught the eye of developers. There's currently a Ramada Inn and Red Roof Inn on the site. Plymouth Playhouse recently moved out of the Ramada Inn. On Tuesday night, developers met with City Council to lay out a variety of ideas that range from an apartment building to medical office building to a new hotel. The council is adamant they want a unique, high-quality project that Plymouth residents will get excited about.
And I think it's a prominent corner in our community at 494 and 55, and I'd really like to see something there that supports our community.
These projects are all conceptual at this point, and developers may be back at the table with more ideas.
The forecast for the next few days calls for summer-like weather.
And for many, that means finding a lake or a pool. For others, it means eating outside. As Eric Nelson found out, that's getting easier to do in Maple Grove.
Maple Grove is known for its many shopping and eating options. And now the city is suddenly becoming an outdoor eating hotspot.
Everything smells better, looks better, just feels better to be outside.
In the Grove, breaking bread in the elements is a trendy thing.
Outdoor eating is very popular.
At Redstone American Grill, some patrons bypass the chance for immediate indoor seating just to be in the great outdoors.
People will wait for like an hour at a time to just get a seat outside. We don't get a lot of beautiful days here in Minnesota, so you got to take advantage of them when we have them.
You could feel the air, you know. You finally get out, there's no snow on the ground.
Thanks to a frigid winter, most residents in the Northwest Metro have a pent-up desire to get out of the house or out of the office.
We're hibernating here in Minnesota for 6 months. When it warms up, especially here, May, getting into the spring, summer coming up, I can't wait to get outside, and I would wait to be out here, yes.
Redstone and other restaurants are why Maple Grove is a hot spot for outdoor eating.
People will even come out here in like the fall and winter months. We have like the heaters going and the fire pit going, which is an attraction here.
Crave, which is currently under construction, will have an outside eating area when it is finished and open for business. And Brick and Bourbon, which also opens soon, will have an outdoor section too. That's good news for those who cherish the joys of eating outside. For those people, it's a great experience.
Just the fresh air, you know, sometimes you hear the birds chirping, see some of the green grass, you know, the flowers are blooming.
In Maple Grove, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
And outdoor eating is coming soon to Golden Valley as well. Latitude 14, an Asian fusion concept, will include an outdoor patio.
At Maple Grove Senior High, future college students had the opportunity to gain perspective from current ones. High school seniors heard from Maple Grove High School alumni who just wrapped up a year in college. This is the first time that Maple Grove staff have set up an alumni college student panel. The biggest advice from past and present college students is preparing yourself mentally for life on your own and staying on schedule. Another had advice for students still in high school.
I feel like I took my high school experience for granted at times, especially like the AP classes here. Like I am an entire semester ahead now at the U because of how well I did here, and I think that I wish I had worked harder and done more just so I could be more ahead in college, and because college is way harder than it is here.
How I would handle independence. Yeah. And I think it's just, you can listen to others, but it's a process of learning how to handle it independently yourself.
The 11 alumni who spoke represent a variety of schools, including the University of Minnesota, the University of Minnesota Rochester, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and the University of Kansas. Always helpful to hear from those who have been there, right?
Yeah, right.
Still ahead on CCX News, we ride along with Brooklyn Park's Officer of the Year.
Plus, Wayzata and Maple Grove battle for a section championship in boys tennis. That's coming up later in sports.
But first, turning more humid with a shot at 90 degrees on Friday.
A police officer's job becomes easier if an officer is able to develop a rapport with local residents.
It makes sense. One Brooklyn Park officer is constantly looking for new ways to strengthen relationships with the public. And as Delane Cleveland reports, his efforts have earned him a significant honor.
Not every situation is a ticket situation. Not every situation's an arrest.
For the past 11 years, Officer Chad Miller has served the city of Brooklyn Park.
I got into this career later. I did construction work for 5 years after the military. Decided it's time to do it before I get too old and before nobody's going to take me. So I went back to school at about 26, got hired on at 28, and I've been doing this since.
In those 11 years, many of which have been spent working patrol, he's developed a certain philosophy.
Going to different calls and different horrible situations over the years, you realize there's bigger and better things in life than sticking tickets and tags on someone. They should be buying diapers, they should be buying formula, They should be buying groceries, not paying for citations all the time.
In fact, Officer Miller estimates that 90% of his contacts with people don't result in a ticket or arrest.
It looks like you have a pretty good record. I don't want to tarnish that yet today.
Instead, he uses those opportunities to educate and build rapport with residents.
The important tool that we have in this job is our ability to communicate.
That ability to communicate with the public has earned Officer Miller recognition from his supervisors.
He's really impressed us as of late, especially in the last couple of years, where he's coming up with different ways to connect with community members and build trust and legitimacy within the police department with our community members.
One such example is a Behind the Badge initiative he started on Facebook, where people can learn more about the personal lives of the city's officers.
We have lives outside of this. I think a lot of times people get sucked into the, oh, he's a police officer and that's all I am. I'm not.
It's because of efforts like Behind the Badge that last week, Officer Miller received the department's prestigious Officer of the Year award.
We're always looking for the Officer of the Year to be somebody that goes above and beyond, that really invests themselves into our community and really looks outside the box of traditional law enforcement.
Officer Miller has done just that year after year with no signs of slowing down.
If you give people respect while you're talking to them and dealing with them, 99% of the time they're going to respect you back.
In Brooklyn Park, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
Officer Miller also serves as a field training officer for the department, and his supervisors call him a role model for how influential he's been with training new recruits. Still ahead, a championship first for a New Hope elementary school.
But first, Maple Grove takes on Rogers as the section softball playoffs are heating up. John Jacobson has the highlights next in sports.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. The top two seeds advance to the Section 5AA Boys Tennis Tournament. They're both teams from our area. Top seed Wayzata meeting Maple Grove for the title. Two doubles, good action at the net between Maple Grove's Lathan Boyk and Wayzata's Nick Uphoff. Boyk with the volley winner. The Trojans answer back. Big serve by Colin Badoon sets up the winner for Uphoff, and they win in the match. Three singles, Wayzata's Jake Mendel serves, then rips the forehand winner. He beats Dev Patel in straight sets. One doubles, Max Leal serves for Wayzata. Michael Deal stretches out for the winner. That's Leal punching the volley winner for the Trojans. He and Deal beat Ben Bakke and Andrew Dombald 6-1, 7-5. One singles, John Foley can't put away the overhead. Josh Miller with the lob there for the point. Foley does not make that mistake here. It will rip the backhand and then puts the overhead away. The good point here, both players end up at the net and trade volleys before Foley gets the backhand winner. He wins the match. The Trojans win the section title 7-0, something that's always important for the Wayzata program.
I know that back in my 8th grade year when I first made it, we didn't do that. And so whenever I come back here, I always remember back to that. I always try to channel that somewhat into this to make sure that we can keep coming back, doing our best, trying to make it to state so that we can continue to push forward and make as much progress as we can throughout the season and now channel it into the postseason.
Singles and doubles play in Section 5AA got started this morning with 3 rounds being played today. The section softball playoffs are underway. Maple Grove is the defending champion in Section 5-4A, and the Crimson are seeded second for this year's tournament. Maple Grove hosting third-seeded Rogers in the second-round game Tuesday. Crimson pitcher Ava Duick gets out of a bases-loaded jam on the top of the first inning, striking out Emma Rooks to end the inning, one of 10 Ks for Duick in the game. Royals pitcher Grace Mammon is just as good. She gets the called third strike here on Amanda Tyler in the 4th inning, one of 6 strikeouts for the freshman. Still scoreless in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Crimson with the bases loaded. But Rogers shortstop Krista Felber makes a nice play, getting the force out at second base to end the inning. After no runs are scored in this game through 6, Rogers gets it going in the 7th. Allie Roberts, bloop hit over third base, scores Emma Breslin with the game's first run. 2 batters later, Reagan Kimbler singles to center field. Courtney Johnston and Roberts both score on Kimbler's single, and the Royals lead it 4-0. In all, Rogers sends 13 batters to the plate. They score 8 runs. Royals advance to the winner's bracket final with an 8-1 win. Champlin Park scored a big win in the tournament. The Rebels beat top seed at Centennial 8-2. So it's Champlin Park and Rogers meeting Thursday in the winner's bracket final. In elimination games Thursday in Section 5, Spring Lake Park is at Maple Grove and Osseo travels to Centennial. The Section 6 4A tournament continues today, Wednesday. The Maranatha Christian Academy baseball team has struggled down the stretch. They look to get back in the win column, though, in their regular season finale. The Mustangs hosting Liberty Classical Academy. Liberty gets started early. Sam Franzen singles up the middle in the top of the first. Trevor Rankin, the second of 2 runners to score on the play as the Lions grab an early lead. Maranatha flashes leather early. Ryan Grill smacks it to third, and Drew North with a diving play throws from his knees to get the out. Nice defensive play for the Mustangs' third baseman. In the 5th, Maranatha trails 3-0 until Tommy Satzer slaps a hit to right field. North scores in the play, and the Mustangs pull within 3-5 through 5 innings of play. In the 6th, Bryce Lovecheck pulls them closer yet. His high drive clears the fence for a solo home run to make it 3-2. They tie it later in the inning, and it's 3-3 going to the 7th. In the top of the 7th, Liberty goes back in front. Rakin will lift a fly ball to left, a sacrifice fly to move the Lions in front 4-3. They'll add an insurance run to go ahead 5-3. Maranatha did get one back in the bottom of the inning, but Liberty Classic wins this one 5-4, the final. Maranatha will now face Blake Thursday in the first round of the Section 5 2A tournament. That's all for sports. Back to you, Mike and Alex.
All right, thanks a lot, John. Still ahead, championship success at a New Hope Elementary School.
We'll find out about their big accomplishment when we come back. Finally, a New Hope Elementary School is the proud home of a newly crowned national champion.
Earlier this month, several members of the Robbinsdale Spanish Immersion School's chess team took first place at a tournament in Nashville sponsored by the U.S. Chess Federation. The team representing kindergarten to grade 3 won this championship trophy, which is now proudly on display at the New Hope Elementary School. The students beat out 9 other teams from across the nation to win the prize. It's the first in the school's history.
It's just amazing. The kids are so excited and the families are excited. It's a wonderful opportunity for our kids.
The principal says because the school has so many chess trophies, they plan to purchase another trophy case just to properly display them all. Good problem to have over there. Keep it up. That's all the news for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
And we'll see you back here again on Thursday, starting at 4 o'clock.